Breaking this morning, the passing of Pope Francis. A look back at his life and the legacy he leaves behind. Plus, 2 people charged with an Evansville shooting will appear in court today. Thank you for joining us, folks. On a Monday, I'm Chris Stanford. Carrie-Ann Lee is off today. We begin with that breaking news out of the Vatican this morning. Catholics around the world mourning the death of Pope Francis. The Vatican announcing his death just hours ago. Tina Kraus has more on the Pope's life and legacy.
From his first words as Pope,
Fratelli e sorelle, buonasera.
Francis displayed a humble style that earned him the nickname the People's Pope, often wearing plain robes and living in a small apartment at the Vatican. Born in Argentina in 1936, Jorge Bergoglio became a priest in 1969 and Archbishop of Buenos Aires in 1998. He earned another nickname there, the Bishop of the Slums. He rode the bus, cooked his own meals, and preached in the poorest neighborhoods. The Pope's humility was visible during his visit to the U.S. in 2015. He rode in a small car and his Pope-mobile while getting around in Washington, D.C., New York, and Philadelphia.
In the land of the free, at the home of the brave.
The Holy Father made history when he addressed Congress and celebrated Mass with hundreds of thousands of people in Philadelphia. The Pope also brought a message to U.S. Catholics to take care of those less fortunate. On the final day of his trip, he met with victims of sex abuse. In 2019, Pope Francis expelled disgraced former U.S. Cardinal Theodore McCarrick after a Vatican investigation found him guilty of sexually abusing children. He was the most high-profile church figure to be defrocked in modern times.
We ask forgiveness for our sins.
The move came just weeks before nearly 200 senior church leaders met for a landmark Vatican summit to prevent clergy sex abuse.
Nei confronti dei bambini.
Despite the clergy abuse scandal, the Pope worked at making the church more welcoming. He launched a worldwide survey on contraception, premarital sex, and homosexuality. The Pope said gay people should not be marginalized and famously asked, "Who am I to judge?" Francis made history in 2023, leading the funeral of his predecessor, Pope Benedict XVI. That same year, he celebrated the first decade of his papacy with the release of his first podcast, or Popecast. In an historic interview with CBS's Norah O'Donnell in 2024, the Pope addressed criticisms of his efforts to revisit teachings and traditions of the Church.
One thing is to take tradition into account, to consider situations from the past. But quite another is to be closed up inside a dogmatic box.
Francis, who had part of his lung removed when he was younger, battled a number of health issues in his later years, including hospitalizations for bronchitis. Supporters will forever remember him as a revolutionary pope, crediting him with choosing service and kindness over the power of the papacy. Tina Kraus, CBS News.
Well, Pope Francis received widespread credit for changing the tone of the church. Conservative teachings never changed during his papacy. Savannah Brito with your first warn forecast out on the patio this morning where it is mild and breezy.
It is definitely warm, but we also have the breezy conditions, so we do have some wind chills out there. Feels significantly cooler. Temperatures are going to continue to drop through the morning, but then we will see temps rebound by the afternoon. That's also the breeziest part of the day, mid to late morning into the afternoon, where winds could gust up to 40 miles per hour. We're down to 53. We're holding on to 55 and 56 across most of the area. Even got some 40s west of here across Plains, Mount Horeb, Perry, and also Belleville. That's where the coolest air is. And 40 and 41 degrees up in Black River Falls and La Crosse. So we will see temperatures fall, and more rain is in the forecast. Not necessarily the rest of today, but we'll time out all additional shower chances and even some storms tomorrow coming up.
All right, we'll talk to you then. I want to get to some local headlines this morning. 2 people charged in connection with the death of a 14-year-old Evansville girl will be in court today. 26-year-old Hunter Dreyfall and 20-year-old Alyssa Ahrens face several charges, including child sexual assault. They are not charged with the teenager's death. Police arrested the pair after a Sunday morning shooting that left 14-year-old Florencia Henthorn dead. The criminal complaint says the girl was staying at Dreyfall's house for about a week, where at one point an argument broke out about sexual videos that he and Ahrens made with the girl. Their preliminary hearings are scheduled for 9:30 and 9:45 this morning. A 20-year-old man charged with killing a woman and injuring 2 kids in a car accident will appear in court today. That crash happened March 6th on Madison's west side. 67-year-old Mary Pritchard died in that crash. Rayon Bertrand faces several charges, including homicide by intoxicated use of a vehicle. Police reports say that he told officers he'd been drinking all day. His arraignment is scheduled for 11:30 this morning. The 4 people killed in an Illinois plane crash over the weekend were all from Wisconsin. Officials say the victims were from Menominee. The crash happened after 10 o'clock in the morning when a small plane hit a set of power lines and crashed into a field in Trilla.
There's just debris everywhere. You couldn't even tell it was a plane at all. It was absolutely devastating. It was, power lines were down. There was just like pieces all over the road, into the ditch, and then out, scattered into the field.
The FAA and NTSB are investigating. All 4 victims died at the scene. Well, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth is embroiled in a new controversy. Records show that he used the app Signal to share military plans with his wife this time. Sources say that Hegseth used his personal phone for the discussion ahead of the strikes on Houthi targets in Yemen. Signal is an encrypted app, but experts say military planning usually takes place in the Situation Room with as few people as possible. The DoD acting inspector general is investigating a different group chat involving Signal that happened earlier this year. It was also surrounded around those Yemen strikes. The Trump administration is urging the U.S. Supreme Court to reconsider a recent immigration decision. That's to temporarily block the Trump administration from using the Alien Enemies Act to deport more Venezuelan migrants. The Trump administration used the law to send more than 200 migrants to a prison in El Salvador last month. That includes Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the man the Trump administration admits was deported by mistake. Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen met with him last week.
In fact, the El Salvadorian government tried really hard not to let me see him, but I think they realized that that was not a good look at the end of the day. I had press conferences in El Salvador with local press and made the point that El Salvador was violating international law by not allowing anyone to reach him, not his wife, not his lawyers, nobody.
A State Department official says that Abrego Garcia is no longer housed in the same prison. Authorities have moved him to a different detention facility in Santa Ana. The president of El Salvador, meantime, is now proposing to exchange the U.S. deported prisoners in his country for political prisoners being held in Venezuela. More than 1,000 foreign students and graduates are suing the Trump administration for stripping their legal status. It's part of 2 sweeping lawsuits. Both argue the plaintiffs have lawful status as foreign students separate from visas. The Trump administration says it revoked those visas because of various alleged offenses. Locally, 26 UW-Madison students and alumni have had their visas terminated. Now to the trade war this morning. China is warning other countries against making trade deals with the U.S. that would hurt China. Markets are reacting this morning in New York. They're taking a bit of a hit. Dow futures are down 443 points in overnight trading, or about 1%. NASDAQ and S&P futures are down 1.3% and 1.5%. It comes after a 3-day holiday weekend for Easter. A Boeing plane meant for a Chinese airline got returned to the plane maker's production hub. It's one of several 727 MAX jets waiting for final work and delivery to a Chinese carrier. A Chinese airline taking a Boeing jet would be crippled by the tariffs. President Trump's baseline tariffs on Chinese imports now are 145%. China imposed a 125% tariff on U.S. goods. So it's not clear, which party made that decision to return the aircraft. Starting today, DHL Shipping temporarily suspending business-to-customer shipments to the U.S. worth more than $800. DHS says this is due to significant increases in red tape at customs following the introduction of President Trump's tariffs. Previously, packages worth up to $2,500 would enter the U.S. with minimal paperwork. However, now the threshold has been lowered to $800 because of more stringent customs checks. Florida State University holding classes again after a pause in the wake of Thursday's deadly shooting. The school says it's offering remote options and waiving mandatory attendance requirements. Originally, the university's president told students to reach out to staff if they weren't ready to attend courses. The Change.org petition sent out after the shooting, expressing some outrage at that idea and demanding that remote learning happen. It now has more than 1,000 signatures. 2 people died, more were injured in the violence last week at FSU. Taking a live look now at Lambeau Field. We are 3 days away from the NFL draft. The draft experience there at Lambeau in Titletown District is happening this week. It is free and open to fans. And don't forget, News 3 Now is going to be talking about the draft all week long. Our Eric Franke will be providing some TV coverage alongside sports director Zach Hanley, reporter Andrew Banstra, and our Packers contributor Jason Wilde. They'll have all the sights, sounds, and strategy leading up to the draft. Starts on Thursday.
6:40 right now. Up next on News 3 Now this morning, see how a beloved custodian is still making a difference 60 years later. I'll take you to Park Elementary in Cross Plains in the 608.
Conditions and more chances for showers. We'll time those out coming up.
You're watching News 3 Now this morning. Moving forward.
Berkeley from Dodgeville.
Cute as that.
So adorable. Keep sending those in just like that. Love that. You're dealing with a little bit of shower activity outside in Dodgeville right now. 53 though, so temperatures are actually not bad, but they will continue to fall. You can see usually we start to warm 9 a.m. into the noon hour, but we are going to see temps fall. Still expecting to rebound back to about 50 to 52 this afternoon across most of southern Wisconsin. It'll be breezy though too and cloudy until this evening. Winds are going to gust up to about 35 to 40 miles per hour. Most of showers breaking up. There's one stray one up near Camp Douglas and northeast of La Crosse, but that's about it. So aside of drizzle or a mist that's going to linger, we're not going to see any measurable rainfall from here on out the rest of the day, but by tomorrow, that's our next chance. We are seeing lower visibilities. Watoma specifically under 2 miles. We're at 7 in Madison and Watertown, Janesville currently at 6. I think more patchy fog will develop tonight as skies clear out and temps fall into early Tuesday morning. It's also been pretty windy. Juneau peaking at almost 40 miles per hour. Fond du Lac at 41, 22 miles per hour here in Madison. So it'll be breezy through the day. We'll see a little bit of improvement once we get past the morning and early afternoon hours. This is a look at this evening, and from the west to the east, we'll slowly start to see those winds die down. Overnight into early tomorrow, I don't think winds will be a problem. That's also one of the factors on why we could see fog overnight into early Tuesday. And then those winds pick back up, gusting up to about 20 to 25 miles per hour. Into the afternoon tomorrow, it's not going to be as breezy as what we'll see today, but just something to note. The winds will not be calm tomorrow, and then they will stay like that through Wednesday with another chance of showers during that time frame as well. Tomorrow morning, we could also be dealing with a couple of stronger storms yet again that produce hail, produce Lone Rock, Watertown, Madison, all those areas in the green. It's a lower level marginal risk, but anything we do see, I think will move in between about 6 to 7 in the morning. So we start to clear out the rest of today, and then we see temps drop overnight. We'll be sitting at about 7 a.m. near 40 degrees, but areas west even warmer. And then you see that little yellow area on radar. I think we could see some hail pass through those areas that were in the green. That was the Storm Prediction Center outlook, but the threat will be over by about lunchtime. I think we're going to start to be dry once we head into about 10 to 11 in Madison, but areas to the southeast are going to still be dealing with a couple of spotty showers. And then for the draft on Thursday, a high near 70. The start of it's going to be rainy. I think Saturday the best day up in Green Bay.
Yeah, the temps not too bad.
No, at least in the 60s. Yeah, just some showers, so at least it won't be a cold rain.
All right, cold rain. Oh, no,
that's
thanks.
Always the worst.
No thanks.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, Savannah. What an adorable Plan My Day video we had this morning from Berkeley in Dodgeville. If you want Savannah to plan your day, she'd love to show the video on the air. So record one, share your name, where you're at, and then upload it through the First Warn Weather app, Facebook Messenger, the website, email. So many different ways you can do it. And then watch to see if you make it on the air. Time to see what's going on in the 608 this morning. A beloved custodian at a local school district is celebrating a big milestone this month. Josh Breiter is here with the story on Mr. Peanuts. Good morning, Josh.
Hey, Chris. Good morning to you. So a day in the life of a custodian may not sound exciting for many folks, but for Mr. Peanuts, this job was made for him.
Every time a baby is born, they are just a little peanut. That's been going with me for 85 years.
Rodney Esser is the head custodian at Park Elementary in Cross Plains.
When I got to school, somebody put a Mr. in front of it. Now the kids call me Mr. Peanuts.
That was 60 years ago when Mr. Peanuts joined the school district staff. A full circle moment for him as he used to farm the land this building now sits on.
But I spend more time here than I do in my regular home.
Looking at the memory wall in his office, you can see just how much of a positive impact this man has made. From right here in the Middleton Cross Plains Area School District to South Dakota, where he helps out on a ranch just like his dad once did. Mr. Peanuts tells me he gets the best of both worlds in life.
These kids, all kids are different, but at the same time, they're all alike. And there's just something magic about those kids. When you go to work, give them a hug, give them a high five, they walk away smiling, stuff like that. That warms my heart.
Mr. Peanuts does anything and everything to keep Park going every single day, and one of his biggest motivators is music.
Anything can happen. I put music behind it, I can get it done. It doesn't rattle me, it doesn't do anything.
So the school district is putting on a 60th anniversary show for him. It's serving as a fundraiser for music initiatives at Park and grants for the Education Foundation. One of the performers is his favorite singer, Molly B of the Molly B Polka Party, along with many others coming forward to celebrate his 6 decades of dedication.
That's going to be a big celebration.
So the anniversary concert is this Saturday, April 26th from 1 to 5 at the Middleton High School Performing Arts Center. There's a suggested donation for $25 a ticket. Okay. And Chris, I asked Mr. Peanuts if he has any plans to call it quits. He tells me retirement isn't for him.
Doesn't sound like it.
Isn't that crazy?
It doesn't sound like it. What an accomplishment, 60 years. Incredible. I think about all the lives that he's touched along the way.
Generation
All
after
the kids.
generation.
My goodness.
That's insane.
Well deserving. Saturday.
It's going to be the day.
That's it. Okay.
Molly B Polka Party.
The Molly B Polka Party. That will be a blast.
It's going to be so much fun. He deserves it.
He does. He does. Josh, thank you so much for sharing that story with us. Josh is always looking for inspirational stories just like that one to share with you folks. You have an idea for him, reach out and let us know about it. Coming up in the morning sprint, a new report that shows how pollution is affecting our drinking water. If you have a little kiddo turning 3 soon, send us a picture. We'll show it on TV. .6:53, time for the morning sprint. Hours after the end of the holiest day for Catholics, Pope Francis passed away. His death follows a string of serious health challenges. Pope Francis was born Jorge Mario Bergoglio in 1936 in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Pope John Paul II made him a cardinal. He's been pope since 2013. Francis was the first Jesuit pope, first Latin American pope, and the first from the Americas. Again, Pope Francis dead at the age of 88. CBS Mornings will have more at the top of the hour. 2 people charged in connection with the death of a 14-year-old Evansville girl will appear in court today. 26-year-old Hunter Dreyfall and 20-year-old Alyssa Ahrens face several charges, including sexual assault of a child. Police arrested the pair after a Sunday morning shooting that left the 14-year-old Florencia Henthorne dead. The criminal complaint says the girl was staying at Dreyfall's house for about a week. At one point, an argument broke out about sexual videos that he and Ahrens made with the girl. A 20-year-old man who killed a woman and injured 2 kids in a car accident in Madison will appear in court today. That crash happened March 6th on Madison's west side. Ryan Bertrand faces several charges, including homicide by intoxicated use of a vehicle. Police say that he told them that he'd been drinking all day. Bertrand faces up to 97.5 years if convicted on all counts. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth accused of using the messaging app Signal to share military plans with his wife. Signal is an encrypted app, but experts say military planning usually takes place in the Situation Room with as few people as possible. It comes as the DoD's acting inspector general is investigating a different Signal group chat from earlier this year that also involved the Yemen strikes. And a report by the American Rivers found that half of the rivers in our country have unsafe levels of pollution that threaten the water we drink. Topping the list this year, the Mississippi River, which spans 10 states and supplies drinking water to 20 million people. Other rivers named in the report include the Tijuana River in California, the lower Rio Grande in Texas, and the rivers of southern Appalachia. Now to the trade war this morning. China warning other countries against making deals with the U.S. that would hurt China. We're keeping an eye on how the markets are reacting this morning, and stocks on Wall Street are down in overnight trading. Dow futures are tumbling. They're down more than 450 points, more than 1%. S&P futures, NASDAQ futures down 1.3 and 1.5%.
Well, we are tracking some spotty showers early this morning, couple visibility issues. Temperatures stay stagnant and then a lot warmer. We're up to 70 on Wednesday, but some spotty showers too.
All right. Something to keep you busy.
Exactly,
next 10 days.
always.
Thanks, Savannah. We're back in 30 minutes.